Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. Yesterday we worked on our inventory system. We got the ability to equip certain items in the item slot and carry it over into the play state. Now we're not actually doing anything with this at the moment other than just rendering it. But this is the basis of getting it working, right? So the next step here is going to be to add the inventory switch so that we can switch over to our key items as well as our items here. So we should be able to hit B and it'll swap over to a 4x3 grid instead of the 3x4 grid, and it'll be over here where we can select which tunic we want, which spell we want, that sort of deal. So I think today we're going to be trying to do that toggling of different inventory groups. So we'll see how far we can get. Let's take a look at our global inventory, which is just an inventory class, because this is where we're going to have to handle the switching. So see, we have a grid and a column, and that is essentially how we are rendering the cursor. So let's see here. We do have a item cursor. So one of the first steps is we need the ability to resize this cursor we've got, because right here, if we look at what our cursor is, it's a cursor object, and it has its own image here. Now there is another issue on Mac. The images are not being filtered correctly for the Retina display, so we have to figure out how to import this with the nearest neighbor filter for our pixels. I'm going to fix the camera so Jimmy can be seen a bit better. Okay, so I don't exactly know what to do with this. I think let's see where we do this nearest neighbor setting. It's right here in our dependencies, and look, it's after all of this stuff. So let's just do this. Like, one of the first things is we're going to set the default filter to be this. Hopefully that'll fix it for my Mac. And then we have to think about how we want to do this, because part of me thinks that we just modify our inventory class and then we can toggle between the active inventory. Right now the inventory is a 2D array of holding items as well as a cursor. So if we were to allow ourselves to have two instances of an inventory and call it like item inventory and key item inventory, then we could load a specific cursor only into the key item inventory, and then in our pause state use the B button press to toggle which inventory is being updated and rendered. So that might be the way to do it. So let's see our inventory here, because ideally we would need to move, we need to move where the starting point of our inventory. We need to move the spacing. We need to change the size, the item width, the item height, but the functionality needs to remain the same. We just need a grid, a 2D array that can hold items and that can render items. So I think it makes sense to modify our inventory class to handle either items or key items. So let's see if we can figure that out. Excuse me. So I guess we can do we need to make a smaller image first of all, right? So like if we had an inventory, we can say, hey, when we init, you just need to pass in an option. And if the option you pass in is equal to 1, then go ahead and do all of this initial stuff in the init that we normally do for our other inventory. We have to make sure that we can remember the quantity and stuff though, so like we don't want to, well, I guess this is fine because this is like the hard-coded quantity and stuff is just a way for us to modify the items that are in there. But moving forward, we'll only make those things once we pick them up in game or whatever. So we can say, okay, if option's 1, go ahead and do all that stuff. And then we can do if option is 1 here too. So I guess what we can do is save the option. So we can say option gets option, but then we can say if option is equal to, just to be a little more verbose about this, we can say like if option's equal to item instead of key item. So if option's equal to item, go ahead and do this, and then we'd want to say same thing. If self.option, if the self.option is equal to the item instead of the key item, then we're going to go ahead and update with all of this logic because we want to modify the different 2D array if we're on the other key item. So we'll do this. And then we'll have to modify our cursor to take in another option as well. So we'll set this is getting tricky. We'll see if this can work if we just do option is equal to item. Oh, and then it's self.option here. If our own option's equal to item, and then if our own option's equal to item, and then same thing down here. Well, I guess we'd render it. Yeah, we'd only want to render. We'd want to render the item slot as well as the key item slot. So we can keep that, but right here we'd want to say if self.option is equal to the item grid, then we can go ahead and just render that cursor for the item, not the key item cursor. And then we'll give us another cursor instantiation for our key item. So that might work. I had ate dinner and then like had coffee after dinner and I don't feel good. That's my bad. Okay, so when we go to instantiate this inventory, let's make sure we give it an option parameter of type item and make sure our item inventory isn't broke now that we changed this. So if we go into our, I want to say play state. Yeah, okay, so let's say this is going to be called item. That was totally wrong. Okay, global cursors and nil value on inventory Lua. How did we manage to change that? Yo, how did we manage to change? What the heck? We changed... I don't know how we changed the first thing. We changed everything to be lowercase, even though it was supposed to be camel case. I don't know how we managed to do that. It is very weird that we were able to do that. Okay. Let's make sure we don't have any other surprises like that. Looks okay. Inventory 26. Item is a nil value. Dude, what the heck? How did we miss this? How did we accidentally do this? Okay. Okay. Okay, one thing I do want to change is maybe how fast the blink is. So let's look at our blink reset on our cursor. We have a blink timer. So I guess the blink timer is what we want. The threshold. Let's do this maybe 0.25 and see if that's like obnoxious. We should have that as a variable, not a magic number. Oh, shoot. We were just able to equip it. Yeah, that's way too fast. We were just able to equip it without being paused. Or, yeah, without being in pause state. See how we can equip it right there without even pulling that up? So that's an issue. Now, one thing I thought was preventing that was that we're not actually... I thought we weren't actually updating our inventory in our play state. We are updating it in our play state. We should only update it in our pause state because that's when the inventory's up. But we should be rendering the HUD with the value. Shoot. Oh my gosh, we have to get the loot stuff out of here because this is just getting ridiculous. Okay, we shouldn't be able to equip stuff. Okay, I'm trying to equip it. It looks like it's not working anymore until we're in the inventory state, so that's good. So we're not crashing. We have an ability to determine a different inventory and only render a certain inventory system at a time. So let's see our inventory. Okay, so we call it G inventory. It should probably be called item inventory. Global item inventory, I'm thinking. So if we go here, we can substitute every G inventory as item inventory. Okay, do we still run? Or do we touch? Yeah. G inventory is in our pause state, so we'll just rename it there. Okay. And then we only swap it if there is an item in there, so I don't know. Should we add it where we can If there's no item, we would just take the equipped item and place it there, or you have to switch it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. Excuse me. Okay. Let's look at our cursor. Right here, we're drawing a self.image, and our self.image is a item cursor, which is a 16 by 16. I think we need an 8 by 8 item cursor, so it would be a key item cursor. Let's open up with a sprite our item cursor, or we'll just make a new one. That is a 8 by 8. It might be too small. You know what? 8 by 8 might be too small. Let's just see. If we go, let's just go into our inventory and we'll just render a 8 by 8 rectangle, and we'll do it we'll XY width height, we'll just say 0, 0, and then we'll see what an 8 by 8 looks like. And actually, I want to put it to the right side of the screen, closer to where we need it, so we can compare the size easier. So it's going to be the virtual width minus 8, let's say, and then maybe like 48 down. So let's see if the size of rectangle is okay. Oh, it's a little small. Because it should, it should cover this whole thing. So let's maybe do a 10 by 10. We're trying to find the aspect of the cursor for this other one. But then again, we have other stuff, like tomes are a little bit taller, so maybe 16 feels too tall to me. Because this is 6. Oh, this isn't 16. How big is the other one? 16 by 16 actually looks just about right. But how big was our other cursor? I don't even know. Let's try 16. Should look okay. I think that's okay. It might be too big. Shit. I think 16's okay. We would just, since this is a mock-up, we would go in and say everything has to fit. Let's do 14. 16 looks too big to me. But in our non-mock-up, we would make it so that maybe the space in between each one is 16, but there's a 14 size cursor. So let's tentatively say 14 here for our cursor, key item cursor. Okay, canvas size. We'll say, I already forgot, 14? Damn it, I deleted it and then didn't even remember what I wanted. Okay, we'll see what 14 looks like. Okay, this is our key item cursor. We'll save as. PNG. Key item cursor. Sweet. So now that we've got that exported, we'll do in our cursor, we'll also make sure we pass a option and then we'll set the image based on the option. So we'll say if the option we pass in is equal to item, then we want to make sure we give ourselves the item cursor. So when we go to instantiate this, we'll pass in an option as well. And the option will be item for this cursor. We just want to make sure we don't accidentally break anything as we add things here. Okay, so that looks fine. So now let's try to give a different option. So we're going to say, what if we, else if our option, we could just do else, but I like being verbose here sometimes. So key item. And then if it's key item, we would set our image here to be equal to our key item we just made. So graphics key item cursor PNG. Yep. And then let's try to pass in this key item and see if okay, so there's an option for the inventory and an option, maybe you would call it cursor option, just because I got a little confused there, but we can put key item here and we'll see if we get the key item cursor instead of the normal item cursor. Okay. We're missing an end up here. We didn't change anything up here though. Okay, we are checking if it's a string and comparing the string. We save the option if our option's equal to that string. Else, okay. Key item cursor. Yeah, that's what we called it. So, what, man? End in cursor 57. I saw. Oh, it's mad here. Oh, else if without a space. What the heck? Okay. So see how it's a smaller cursor now. Cool. So we want to move a couple things, right? We want to move where our inventory starts and the size of our items and the row and column count, dependent on the option we give it. So in our inventory, we would want to give, if options item, all of this stuff, so we can kind of just use this as a template, but this will be if option is key item, then we would want to do things a little differently here. Now, if it's a key item, we insert the cursor with the key item cursor. This would probably be, yeah, we can keep it like that, I guess. It might conflict with the other item cursor. Okay, so we want to swap the row and column amount and give a different X and Y position, but also when we go to say, you know, we have this thing in our update where we update the X and Y position. Where is it? Right here. So if we give, as long as we update our key item cursor, we have to pass in whatever the selected row, selected call is, because those parameters are what actually renders the cursor at the correct grid location. So we would have to, let's just try it. Let's try it just with, we'll spawn a key item option grid inventory. Because we pass in the option, whatever the option we get. So if we pass in a key item option, which we are doing, then let's just try to move this and say, okay, well, what if this is 50-50? Then does our starting grid, see, this is just the starting position. It's not the updated position, because over time it's rendering based on the row and column. So we would have to give the proper item sizes here, and only changing this would update the space where we start to see it, but that's not the case either. Because I think, oh, see, we're only doing this if option is item. So we need to update our cursor if we're not option item either. So we could say else if option is equal to key item, we'd want to also render, actually just update our item cursor. So now it should be moved. We're trying to find, oh shit, man. It's not moved, it's not. We are rendering, let's see, look at this. We're rendering, I don't get why we're actually rendering the cursor, because our option is not equal to item. Let's make sure in our play state here. Oh, see, look, we do. Actually, no, yeah, why would we be rendering the cursor? Because if we look at our inventory, oh, we do give it an item. Okay. Yeah, we need to do this differently. Oh, well, no, this is okay. Yeah, because we could say, you know what, this is key item. Because we will have two instantiations of this, and we'll toggle through. Oh, come on. 66, nil value. For what? Inventory 66. Why there? Why does that? Oh, because we don't have that grid. Okay. Shit. They're all in the same spot. Okay. This is jacked up. This is jacked up. Okay. Let's try to give ourselves an actual second instantiation of a inventory, and we'll make sure. What just happened? Okay, let's go to our play state. We'll say that we've got a key item inventory 2. Okay. Yeah, it's just that our key item needs to reference not grid, but like a key item grid. Okay, so this is the wrong size, right? Because in our inventory, we're saying this gets a key item cursor, but we really want a normal item cursor. So that's looking right. We can equip, swap. That's looking right. Okay. So now we have in our play state, we have a item inventory and a key item inventory. So let's look at any time we do an item inventory thing, which it looks like what we're doing here is just saying, hey, if there is a thing in our item slot, which is going to be where we equip the spells. If there's a thing in our item slot, then we're going to go ahead and render that item slot. So I guess we can do the same thing, just with key item slots. So we can say any item is going to be key item. Right? Okay. At least it doesn't crash. Okay. Okay, so what's next? We have these 2 inventories. We need to give the other options. So if we look, if we say inventory, right here, we have an item and we have a key item. So let's take a look at this class again. Now, if it's item, go ahead and give all of these things. If it's key item, go ahead and give it all of these things. And then what we can do is we can say, where's the self-image for the cursor? Oh, it's in the cursor. We handle that here just by saying key item as the third parameter and just normal item as this cursor. Okay. So now that we swapped that, we need a way to update the key item cursor. So like here, we've got this item cursor update, and then, okay, so we are doing it. So now we just need to render our cursor item, key item cursor, but we don't want to overwrite this key item, so I think we might need to do, we have item cursor, we need key item cursor. Okay, and then we do update, let's see, item cursor update. Okay, so if it is key item, we want to update the key item cursor. And then we want to render the key item cursor if our option is key item. Let's see, I'm hoping we get another cursor. And I am not seeing it. We should be rendering the inventory object if the key item. Okay, and then we should be updating it based on the selected row. Okay. Now, oh, we need to set the selected row. Let's just say self.selected row is 1 here and call is 2. Let's see. I'm just looking for another cursor on the right side there. Not seeing it. Because see, we're not doing any of this. Oh, and you know what? Oh, it's... Well, there are 2 different items. Oh yeah, it should be okay. Because the option that we're passing in here is preventing a lot of these things from being different. Let's just say that this is 0, 0. Okay, and then this is a column amount times item width and height. Okay, okay. And then... See, this... I think this is where it's doing it. It should be... Should we do a key item grid here? Yeah, because the items, well, we should be able to see the cursor regardless of doing this. Okay. Okay, so we're updating selected row if it's just item. We aren't updating the items, but that's okay because there's no items in our table just yet. Oh, self.option here. Well, let's see if there's. Hopefully there's. Shoot, man. Self option is key item. Okay. And then if our option is key item, go ahead and render the key item cursor that we update here. Okay. I don't see what we're doing wrong. Unless we're not updating our key item inventory. Let's see. Oh, we only render the item slot. We don't render... We have to render the cursor. Where are we rendering the cursor for the global inventory? I don't see where we're rendering the cursor even. Because I see here we're just saying render the item that's in there. G item inventory, but where are we rendering the cursor? The cursor's in this inventory object, but we're not calling render on it. Right? How are we even seeing it? We're rendering each item. Okay. See, what I don't get is like, okay, here we're supposed to be rendering the cursor. If we take that out, we don't render the cursor. But what I don't get is we're not ever calling inventory : render. So why is this thing working? Because if we say we say G inventory here. Really? What is going on? G item inventory, okay. We're not rendering this G item inventory. That's what I really don't get. Oh, it's in the pause state. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. In the pause state, we're rendering the G item inventory. We also need to render the key item inventory. As well as update our key item inventory too. Okay, okay, sweet. Okay, cool. So there's our other inventory. Now we did give ourselves items inadvertently here. So in our play state, in our inventory, we need to go to our key item inventory selection and not insert a bunch of bags because we don't want them. We have the items in there. Now the key items are different than the other items because they're not swappable, they're just selectable. So we don't need to remove them, we just need to determine which one was clicked and then assign it into our spellcast slot. So we have an empty one. Now we can switch, we can move this stuff over to the correct location now. So let's try to do virtual width minus maybe 40 and then maybe 40. I don't know. And then we can tweak the item width stuff. Now we do, when we render our key item stuff, I want to render, we could say, basically I want to enter a bunch of items that are rendered so that I can see, it's in the selected row. Shit. So our cursor doesn't move because we give it an initial position here, like 40 and virtual width minus 40. But when we run our update, on our global right here, we pass in a selected row and call, which is over here. So it's almost like we need an offset for this to update the position because, well, I guess that would mean, let's take a look at the cursor class and see how it uses the selected row and call to modify the X position, because we could get away with maybe something else. Let's see. So cursor, now we have an X and a Y that takes in the X and a Y. Oh, okay, yeah. So it does, once we pass in the row and column, we set our Y to be this. So we could set our Y to be this plus our X position, our original X position. That's weird. Cause, okay, so we could give another offset, this grid X offset, grid Y offset. We could, shit, this is weird. I don't know of a better way to do this. Because we could just say, you know, we want to say if this is an item cursor, a key item cursor, then we want this X offset and Y offset to be a different value so that we can scoot it over. We still want to be able to index a row 1, 1, but for the key items. So we just need to change the offset here. But we don't have actually, yeah, we do have an option. Okay. So yeah, let's give us all of this stuff. We'll do this again, but it'll be called key item grid offset or something. So we'll substitute every grid with keyItem grid X offset. So here, now this is what we would want to give our virtual width, minus maybe 40, I don't know. And then this is maybe 40, I don't know. We can keep those for now. And then we need to use these values if our option is keyItem. So when we update our cursor, if we're an item, we set our X position by these. So we can say if our option is equal to item, then go ahead and do this as normal. And then else, if our option is the keyItem, then we'd want to set a different offset. Set a different offset. So these are the values, but we need to assign them. So it needs to be like this, where we do the same sort of stuff, just we give it the proper names. And this is keyItem grid Y offset, I believe. And you know what? We can do this where we can just substitute every grid with keyItem grid. Here, keyItem, item width, item height. Okay. So now we're setting the offset based on the option, and that takes in a row and column parameter and adjusts it based on this offset we give it. So now let's see if our cursor, okay, keyItem width, item width, a nil value, keyItem, item width, keyItem, item width. keyItem grid item. Oh shit, man. Okay, keyItem. Let's simplify this. KeyItem X offset, keyItem Y offset, keyItem item width, keyItem item height. Okay, we'll do that. And then this will be keyItem Y, keyItem blah blah blah, keyItem blah. Okay, that looks right. KeyItem item width. KeyItem item width. keyItem item width. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Hey, Leva, what's up? How's it going? Oh no. I hate when it does this. I don't know why it does this. It goes behind the screen there. Okay, cool. Okay. We have the other keyItem cursor rendering. Now we just need to get the right spot. So we need to adjust our keyItem offset to get the right location. So another factor in this is that we need to do the selected row and selected column to be equal to 1 and 1, just so we know we're looking at the top left of our 3x4 keyItem grid. So in our inventory, we'll make sure that the keyItem is getting a selected row of 1 1. Yeah, and then we'll adjust the other values until they look about right. So let's see. This is 1 1 on the keyItem. It looks way far to the right, which is worrisome. If we say, okay, well now the column or the row is 2, does it go lower than that? No, it does not. Shit. keyItem. Selected row. Option keyItem. Okay, so in our cursor, option keyItem, yeah. Then, okay, this is a little key item Y offset. Key item Y offset. Key item Y offset. Okay. It's weird that the row isn't adjusting, because if our row is not 1, we should be modifying by the grid item height. Okay, so let's see our grid item height. Oh. Grid, oh, key item width. Key item height. This should be key item width, key item height. Okay. Well, that's looking okay. And we are updating the cursor. Okay, so let's make sure in our inventory that we are... See this, we're not doing... Well, this is just to change the selected row. But when we do this here, we modify it manually here and then update it using the manually reset selected row selected call. So like we should be able to just say, if this is 4 doesn't even exist. It should get mad at us for that, but it does not. Let's try 3. I don't even see it. Okay. Okay, so it needs to be left about maybe 24, down maybe 8. So in our constants, we can see left maybe 24, so maybe a minus 54, down maybe 8, so maybe Y offset is 48. Let's see, this should be the grid 1. We'll need to change the width. Oh, that's looking real close. And then the item width should be a lot smaller. Let's try maybe 16 or something. And 20. Okay. Okay, that's looking really close, but let's see what the column of 2 would look like on the key item selection. Oh, that's looking really close. And then 3. Okay. So yeah, the width can be a little smaller and left a little more, so we can say maybe 59, width is maybe 14. We'll see if 3 looks okay. That looks pretty dang good. It can go up a bit. Down a bit. Okay, sweet. So there's like 3. Now, we don't have, this is still template placeholder art, so I'm not going to get it like perfectly lined up, because once we figure out the actual grid dimensions that we like, we can adjust as is. But let's see the next row. So 2, 1. Let's see how low this next row is. Oh, that looks pretty dang good. It needs to be a little shorter. So constants, we can be a little shorter on the height, maybe 18. And we'll see. Yeah, Leva, you like the programmer art? The programmer art I just whipped up. The totally legit, totally final programmer art. Okay, a little up, a little to the right. I'm tempted. It's kind of perfect. Oh, that was wrong. A little to the left, I thought. I already forgot what we wanted. A little to the right, a little up. Okay. That looks pretty good. Now let's go, and the width should be the same, so let's try row 2, but column 3, so it should be the third tunic selected. Yeah, that looks pretty good. This is just like template stuff, right? So that's okay. Let's make sure the fourth column is looking okay. Fourth column, let's say third row of our key item. Fourth column, third row. Why does... Maybe I messed that up. Fourth. Oh yeah, third. I want third. Okay, yeah, third and third is what I was wanting to test. Nice. It can go... We can do a little less on the item height, but it is just placeholder. Okay, that looks okay for the tomes, and then if we were to switch road 2 to see, looks okay. I mean, they're gonna be off. But now, what we want to do is we don't want the key item cursor blinking while our item selection is here. Like, if we pause, it defaults to the item inventory, and if we hit B, it'll switch to the key item inventory. And right now we're rendering the cursor for both at the same time. So we need a way to toggle only one of these things. So right now we're rendering both dependent on the option. Whatever the option is, we're just going to render that cursor. But we need like a, what's it called for like the type of inventory? Like if we can just say inventory type. If the inventory type is item, then go ahead, and we want to do this for both the update and the render, because we don't want to accidentally move our cursor for our key item if we're not selected on the right inventory. So else if our inventory type is equal to key item, then we would want to render the key item. I mean, this is a little redundant because we have the option, right? So like option is the option for the inventory class, but inventory type is the selected type of inventory. That is like a little confusing, but we need a way to say I don't know how this would work, because we want to say in our inventory, or in our pause state, we want to say only render and only update the selected inventory type. So you know what? I think this is wrong. I think we don't want to do this. I think what we want to do is say, hey, whatever option you are, whether you're normal item or key item, go ahead and render your stuff. Go ahead and render your cursor. But we only want to render which item in the pause state. We only want to say, in our pause state, we can say, let's have a inventory type. And we can say that, hey, this is going to be key item type for our inventory. And then we can go ahead, we only want to update whichever, if our self inventory type is equal to our item type, then we'd go ahead and update it. Oops. And then we can say if our inventory type is equal to key item, then we would update our key item. So we're not, because the same buttons are going to move the cursor for the inventory, but we don't want it to modify the wrong inventory. So we only update the inventory depending on our type, and then we want the same thing for the render. So we want to say, okay, for our render, we're going to say item render right here. Update. Okay, so only render the type of inventory we are. So we do have 2 inventory items. We have one of type item, one of type key item, but I'm saying in our pause state, we have a type of inventory to render and update, and that type is only key item. So I'm hoping we only see the key item cursor now. Cool. So we need to render the item inventory, because otherwise we're not seeing any of our items, but we don't need to render the cursor. So that was a mistake. I don't know how we would do that. Like, our item inventory holds all the item. It's like we need our cursor to exist outside of the inventory, but let's see our inventory class again. Because see how we're rendering this grid render? This is the actual items that are in our inventory. We do want to render those, no matter what our type is in our pause state, but we only want to render the cursors. So maybe we can say something like, maybe we say cursor render. I've never done this. I've never tried to pass a parameter in the render function, but let's say we would go ahead and render both, but we only render the cursor if cursor render is true. So if cursor render is true, go ahead and render our cursors. And then what we'll do is we can say, when we render, we say either false or true. Like, just to test this out, we can say this is going to be false because we don't want to render the item cursor, but we do want to render the key item cursor. So hopefully we see the items, but we see the cursor for the key items. Shit. If we put true in here, we don't see the items still. Oh, it's because this. Yeah, the inventory is not type item. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the inventory type is, but we give it... Yeah, it doesn't matter what the inventory type is. We just want to render both of our things, but we pass in a parameter whether or not we render a cursor for it. Oh, close. It put all the items in the wrong spot. Because we're not updating the item. Okay, so... Oh, la la la, la la la. Let's just go ahead and update both items anyway, because that's what's going to be giving the location. Okay. So this is like halfway right, because the thing is, We're able to render and update. The only thing I don't like is that we're technically updating the selected row and selected column of our item inventory while we're in our key item selection. So I don't like that. But if we don't update our item inventory, we can't move our items into the correct place. So that's a little weird. Hey Prosto, what's up? How's it going? Yeah, I think if you saw the if you saw my coding today, you would be not so thrilled with me. I feel like I'm just gluing everything together, you know? I mean, I guess most of programming kind of feels like that when you're learning. Yeah, it is called Sonic Pi. Pi as in 3.14. Sonic Pi. Yeah. And it works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So we can swap between the item inventory. We can equip things. we can hit B to switch over to the key item inventory, but we aren't updating the selected row selected call for the key item inventory. So we need to add a similar logic here where we say if our option is key item, go ahead and move our selected call and everything here. So if our option is key item, instead of hard coding in the 2-3, we're going to listen for those button presses and update our selected row like that, and then update the item cursor location with the selected row. Let's try that. Shit. Item cursor nil value, inventory 141. Oh, it's key item cursor here. Sweet. So yeah, we can swap. This is sweet. We're a little off. This is like the placeholder settings for the key item location. So we are able to be locked in to this 4x3 grid, and then if we hit B, we'll swap over to the 4x3 grid. Now we will need to add where if we're on the other grid, we can select, because right now hitting A will select. Wow. Okay, so it looks like we're updating. Yeah, we need to change our key item so that we're not updating our dot selected row field, because once we hit A, it's remembering where the item inventory was, not the key item inventory. So we're able to equip items while we're in the key item slot settings, so that shouldn't be possible. We shouldn't be updating the item slot once we're in the key item option. So where would we go to fix that? I think in our pause state, let's see where we're updating. We're just updating no matter what. We should see, this is tough because like if we say only update based on our inventory type, then we don't place the items from the get-go because the items are placed based on the selected row. But I guess what that means is we could change our inventory class to initialize with not oh, it looks like we do. It's just that the thing that doesn't work here is we don't update our inventory's position until this line here, until we update the cursor. Oh, no. This is, where is it? We have another function outside the update function, I'm pretty sure. I'm not seeing it. Okay, well, let's try it. Let's try to say we only update our item inventory if our inventory type is equal to item and not key item. And then if our inventory type is equal to key item, we'll just update our key item inventory. Now the issue here is I don't think this won't place our items in the right spot, I don't think. Yeah. So our items are all squished. We're still here. If we swap over, then it updates and then they get placed. So how do we place these items without needing to update the item? I think this might be a simple fix because we're going to default to the item state anyway, so that should automatically update the items and get them in the right position. So I think we can afford to just swap to not key item but to item in the init, and then that might just fix all our problems. Okay, rendering. We hit B, we swap over here. Cool. Now if we try to apply something here, it doesn't apply our item anymore, so that's good. That fixes that, and then we're still able to switch and equip and switch and not equip and change anything. So we'll have to work on basically the same thing. The only difference is with the key items, they don't come out of the key item slots. If we look at the item slots, like once we equip it, the bag comes out of that slot and the berries get replaced. In our key item slot, it's just gonna populate down on our spell casting. So it won't be as difficult as swapping the two. It'll just say, hey, if A is pressed, what thing are you on? If you're on a spellcast row, then go ahead and equip the correct spellcast string in your equipped type or whatever, and then carry it over to the play state like we're doing with our item slot. This is great. Now the other thing to consider is from the beginning of the game, you won't have basically any key items. So we'll need to put in a limit to say we'll have to update the... Where is Jimmy? We'll have to update, I'll show you what it is. It's the, if we look in our inventory class, it's this, the row amount and column amount. See, for item it's 4x3, but for key item it's 3x4. So we need to limit the grid that is selectable by the cursor if your other things aren't updated. Oh gosh, come on. All right, find your focus, man. Come on. I give up. So yeah, we'll have to limit the cursor selection based on what available key items you've unlocked. Let's do this. But that's about... Oh gosh, are you kidding me? That's about it that's left for the terms of equipping things, because we have the UI, and that just means that we have the ability to know which thing we're selecting. So in our grid. It's a 2D array. We store our item objects inside the 2D array. Hitting WASD moves you within this array, which also moves the cursor. When you hit select, it'll go into the current 2D array you're looking at. If there is a thing in there, it'll evaluate it, and it'll say, okay, well, if you're in an item, then we know to swap it with your item slot. If you're in a key item, we don't have this yet, but we need to say, if the select is pressed, which grid are you at? If you're at row 1-1 on your spellcast, on your key item slot, then we know that's a fire spell, or however we decide to lay it out. So we should have the ability to then equip stuff. The only thing is we only have the one spellcast right now. We only have the fire spell. So we're just about at the... I think I'm about okay moving on from the inventory system because we don't have other inventory stuff to even equip. The only other thing is the loot, right? So right now on mobile, there's no way to toggle the loot minigame, but the way to do it would be pull open your inventory, navigate your cursor to the loot, select it so it's in your item slot, and then when you press B with a loot equipped, that'll toggle the loot state. So then we'll have a way on mobile to access the loot state, because right now there is no such thing, and then we can worry about refactoring all of our inputs for our loot to be workable with the D-pad and 2 buttons as opposed to 4 strings and 4 frets. So that'll be what's next. Yeah, that'll be what's next. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we did today. We gave an option to our cursor to render a different sized cursor image depending on which option we choose. We sped up our blink timer. We have a different grid system for our key items, so we have a different set of constants to modify that by. Then we accept an option as a parameter to our inventory class so that we know which column, like which column settings to load. Column and row settings, and then same with the key item. We set our key item settings if our key item selected, and we did this so that we can have 2 inventory instantiations, one for a key item, one for normal items, so that we can use a lot of the same, logic like rendering cursors and stuff. And then we come in here and we say in the update, we're going to be updating our key item cursor. Now these differences are just maybe empty spaces, but right here, these are the differences that are, where is it? This is the one that's updating our key item. And then we took out some old logic. We have our inventory class accepting a cursor render parameter so that we can either render the cursor or not. Because if we didn't do this, we only render whatever inventory is currently selected, but we want to be able to see both our key items and our normal items no matter what cursor toggle we're at. I don't know what to call that, but I call it inventory type. If our inventory type is item, we're item cursoring through our items. If our item type is key item, we're cursoring through our key items. So we want to be able to see both of those things, but we only want to update the cursor on the appropriate type. Those are our new constants. We move this set default filter to be the top of our dependencies, and hopefully that will, hopefully putting the set default filter at the top will cure the pixel blurriness on the Mac deployment. So we also added the key item cursor PNG. So we'll add all there. We'll commit with a message. We did quite a bit actually. We added key item cursor. And key item navigation. Then as soon as we have other spells and other key items, we can actually equip those things. So then we'll worry about, because like there's, if you look at the little mock-up I did, there's a little space for Tashio up here. And this will be his like loadout. So like I'm thinking, you know, if you choose a different tunic, it'll live update here, and then when you exit out, he'll be in the new uniform or whatever. So like you can kind of see, like once you equip fire spell, you know, he'll be holding the fire element or whatever. So you can kind of see it change his little loadout up here. So we'll have to do that once we have other stuff. So I think the next step might be to worry about getting the loot so that we can equip it, so that we can render the loot game for mobile. So I think that'll be next. And we're going to have to figure out how to render that. I don't think I want to make a whole new sprite sheet for him, but we might make a corresponding sprite atlas to go over, you know, if the loot is equipped, he's going to render just like he normally does, but we're going to I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to have to figure it out. Because I don't want to have a whole new atlas to load, but that actually might be the easiest way to do it. And then we can just update the atlas for the player depending on which loadout is selected. The alternative is we have like a mostly transparent complementary atlas that renders over him. I'm just worried that I don't know what the way to do it is. We'll see. Because the issue I'm thinking is like if we change his tunic, does that load a different atlas? And then if he's wearing a different tunic and and he's holding a loot, is that a whole new tunic too? So it's like I'm kind of thinking maybe the tunics are their own atlas, but the items are kind of complementary overlays for the character. So it's like depending what frame the character's at, go ahead and overlay this item that we decide where on what frame the item lands. Because he should be carrying a loot if his loot's equipped, and he should be carrying a red element if his fire spell's equipped. So there's definitely some challenges in that, but that'll be down the pipeline a little further. All good stuff to think about though. So there was our commit. We'll call it a night. We'll raid out. I guess we'll do our tried and true Hypnotic Games, because he is always game deving it up. So thanks for watching, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll try to get some loot equipped and toggling for our mobile deployment.